let's get into it. Let's see what Overwatch 2 has in store.
Welcome everybody to BLIZZCON. We know that you all want to hear more about Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Allow us to invite you behind the scenes to explain more of what we're doing and why.
Everybody, please hit record. Fingers crossed.
We lost Scott.
It's off to a good start.
This is going great.
We've been assembling one of the best
Yo,
teams
Disco
that
Boots
I
with a
have ever
tier
worked
3,
with.
18 months.
And
The
I'm
ACE
so
sub.
proud of the
I really appreciate it, man.
progress that we have made together.
We really liked the stylized drop down.
Imagine that it's coming forward.
Welcome back, dude.
This starts to spin.
The scale and
It's a
the
little
scope
loud,
of
I
this
guess.
game have meant that we've needed to grow substantially.
We have to. Sorry.
Let me start over.
Overall, I think we've done incredibly well as a team moving to work from home.
A cat.
Oh, shadow play.
There have definitely been challenges, but the team is really putting everything we've got behind this game.
To me, it's the next big step in the Overwatch universe. New heroes, game modes, major story beats.
But where's the PvP, man?
I see Overwatch 2 as the Overwatch for all of my friends.
You know, we're always inspired by what story and franchise development does with their animated shorts. We really wanted to bring that cinematic experience into the game.
You can invest in your heroes and grow them over time. I'm super geeked out about Overwatch 2.
That's kind of cool, though.
Can't wait for people to play this game. It just gets better and better.
But what if they
There are some
added
things that we just can't do
a
without
PvP
a
where you
sequel.
use your character you made against other people? Ooh.
So thank you so much for your patience so far.
So it's a skill
and I
tree.
hope you
It's like an
enjoy this
MMO
behind the
PvP.
scenes look at Overwatch 2.
That'd be dumb? Nah, bro. That'd be so fun.
All of our players at home.
Did
they
you
wanna
grind for a
see
reason?
one of the new maps that we've never talked about before.
Really, I can just talk about anything that I
Like,
want
like
to.
League of Legends? Yeah, exactly. Look how successful
serving
League
this up
is.
to the guy that is like unintentionally leaked information in past interviews.
You can do it officially now.
Okay, so one of the maps that I'm most excited for in Overwatch 2 is our Rome map.
Rome.
We always want Overwatch
Ooh,
to
this looks
feel
kinda
like
nice.
this globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the Overwatch version of Rome.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful feeling of old world architecture. One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers, effects groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we really want to see, like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the backdrop. And then we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For example, one of our environment artists had just taken a trip to Rome, and he returned with thousands of pictures and was so excited to work on a map set in Italy.
There's a lot
It's
of
kinda cool.
ancient architecture in Rome that
That's a good way to do it.
the empire that it used
So you can
to
have a bunch of
So we
what
brought
it's
some of
actually
that
looking
back.
like.
Some of the things that are destroyed in real life, we kind of rebuilt in a kind of an Overwatch style.
It's one of the most beautiful pieces of environment art that I think we've made for the entire game, and it just absolutely took my breath away.
Can we reveal more maps?
Yes, Scott. Scott,
He wants to reveal. Everyone.
why don't you
everyone reveals one map.
Is there an artified, like, let's pick an artified one.
I know what map I want to talk about. It's the one that I just get super excited about. New York City. New York City is just an amazing Overwatch location.
New York. When's the Cali
We're
map
really
though?
striving to make it as authentic as possible. While
Does that
still
mean we
putting this
each
Overwatch
state
spin
gets a
on it.
map?
There's a lot of amazing buildings and architecture pieces.
kinda
that
cool.
just, especially for artists, stands out a lot, and they usually use this kind of Art Deco style from the 1920s, 1950s.
We started in an area that's a little bit like the village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places, and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make with some of our different locations. It feels like something you haven't seen in other games before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
Interesting.
Well, we should move on. Otherwise, we just have to reveal more maps.
Nah, bro.
So, we were talking about
Hollywood
PvP,
is like
and
LA. Okay, I want a nice
one
San Diego
thing
map.
that I think is really interesting about PvP in Overwatch 2 is some of the philosophical changes we're making to the approach.
PvP feels different and new. We're upgrading our combat feel. The roles are playing differently. When it comes to all new maps, it's
Vegas map, yeah. See, I could see a Vegas map.
Having
the Glamis dunes.
Right now.
It's all desert.
I can't wait to see where we end up with it by the time we launch this thing.
Well, hopefully finish by the time you launch it.
We're also experimenting with the idea we call role passives, which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are shooting at them. Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking around the map. And healing heroes, support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after they haven't taken damage for a while, very similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more
Hey, that's pretty good, so they don't have to like
that
waste.
we've been exploring in Overwatch 2
Goes on, so I think that's okay.
is it changed the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try
Damn, this is
to
what it
make
looks like when
them
it's at max
more
settings.
toe-to-toe brawlers and less characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So, for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of fire strikes, so he can throw fire strikes a lot more aggressively and more often. Also, his charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can, not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more aggressively and, really go after those key targets without feeling like you're going to sacrifice all of your positioning, everything to get there. He's almost more terrifying now with this, be able to
playing Overwatch in like 75 render scale all low
The changes
definitely
to
looks way
Reinhardt
different
that
than the
we're
Ultra.
trying, and they might not ship, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that players have when they want to play a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
Shortly after BlizzCon, we spun up this group, our combat field group, to really just work on what happens when a player holds the trigger.
We're putting a ton of effort into looking at all of our
When we hold mouse one, I wanted to kill people.
Trying to give them even a more visceral weapon feel.
From sound to VFX to animation to the design of these units, all new sounds for a lot of our weapons in the game, and a whole new sound system that's driving it. And we didn't just level up a unit, we leveled up the rest of the game.
Oh, so I was like, who the heck is this? Looked like a Winston's gun.
Quite a bit of time working on gunfire sounds and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything. Nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of feel and visual effect when you hit things.
One of the bigger efforts we're undertaking for Overwatch 2 is what we're calling our Weapon 2.0 Sound Pass. What this is a big overhaul to the weapon systems in the game. That means the way the gun feels in your hands. You could feel the ammo running out as you're getting lower on the clip. We've really tried to amplify
Okay, I kind of like that.
to better encapsulate the gameplay and the gunplay that comes with Overwatch 2. Another key for the
damn, a
weapons
cruise
was
gun
getting them
kind of
to
sounds
feel
kind of
like they're in
nice.
the environment. This meant working with convolution reverb. It's a new system that we've implemented into Overwatch. It's a way that we can capture the acoustics of an environment and transport it onto the sounds that we're using. So we went and captured tales of guns in different environments through our weapon shoots.
Dude, imagine it being able to be the freaking people are like, hey, I'm gonna go work on Overwatch. Yeah, let's go fucking shoot the 50 cal, like a fucking minigun, like all that shit out. Like, dude, what? Hell yeah, man. Dude, I want to be that guy.
And then we've cut them and applied it so that we can support a lot more environments. Now we're supporting outdoor, urban outdoor, warehouse tails, tight tunnels, small rooms, and it gives a lot more presence to the weapons and the way that they react in the world.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
A lot since Overwatch 1 came out. On top of that,
Sounds like
I
it'd
think
be
we really
pretty
want
cool.
to push the visceral nature of how we do combat. So we focused a lot, not just on the wonderful
And
sound
as everyone can
effects,
hear
but
you are,
also
true.
with how the gun moves as you shoot. You know, so you can really feel every single shot leaving the chamber. And there's a lot of subtle little tweaks we have to do on the gameplay engineering side to make that feel really visceral. Everything from making sure that the camera shakes are crisp, making sure that if you get shot, you know exactly these tight indicators show up on the outside of your reticle. All these things play into making the game feel not just tight and responsive, but also modern and up to date. Take 76, for example. What we wanted to do in Overwatch 2 with his weapon was make it really feel incredibly powerful, and that happens with a bunch of different elements that mix together. But it really feels like the gun is almost just outside of your control. A lot of that comes down to this camera shake technology, where every time you fire the weapon, you want to feel like it's running through your entire body, and the camera shake gives that extra bite to every single shot out of the chamber. It makes him feel really great.
You guys got a sneak peek of Sojourn from last BLIZZCon. She's been under development for quite a while, and she's actually quickly at this point become a lot of people's favorites in-house. When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally created, there was a lot of heroes that were made from a gameplay
New hero?
standpoint kind of
Chat?
surrounding a weapon type. For example, Pharah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like kind of the sniper. We thought there was a weapon that was kind of missing that would be a lot
Wait,
of
what
fun to
was
play
it?
with, and
Sounded
that's
like a
railgun.
silenced
It's so much fun
gun,
to
man.
have
Where's
this
the
powerful shot that can, rip through enemies if you really are accurate with
Those
it.
things sounds like a
It's
fucking.
all about that aim skill. So
Doesn't sound
if you
anything,
got
man.
That aim skill, you'll love her.
We're still exploring new game modes, and we're also reevaluating older game modes that people are more critical of. We're of the mindset maybe 2CP doesn't exist in Overwatch 2, and maybe there's a new cool game mode that replaces it. We really want Overwatch 2 to feel like the next
2CP.
evolution,
Fogs in the
a
chat
true
is real.
sequel to the first game, not an add-on. It's
Is
not
real
a
then?
small part. It's not an extension of the original game. This is an evolution and a replacement.
Oh, don't you
to the
debate me,
original
Jeff.
game.
Don't you
And
do
I
it.
think it's exciting.
Now, if it's there in Overwatch 2, we're all gonna be pissed. We're gonna be throwing hands.
Hero missions are probably one of the things that's the hardest to wrap your head around
5K.
if you've never played one of them.
The goal around hero missions is for these to be this co-op PvE experience.
I personally only play competitive mode. Like, I'm all about that competition.
There we go. It's my man
And
right
I
here.
have friends that they don't want to do that at all. So I'm really looking forward to a game that I can play hours and hours with my friends who aren't in competitive, and it's also something that I'm interested in.
Hero
Okay,
missions
so
are
how
the
do you make that
content
happen?
people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes, and so for a system like this to really sing, you need a lot of missions. We don't want players to feel like they're just in this grind to get to the top.
And there's a lot of really, really good back-end technology that we're exploring so that the heroes are constantly bringing their personality and some light story to these hero missions as well.
Were you married or
The
engaged?
goal is
No.
to make as many as possible, hundreds of hero missions. We've explored a lot of different ways of getting to that much content. Still have like different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different.
He's
hero
married to
mission
Overwatch?
types.
Yeah, there we go. We're
At the
married
same
to
time,
Overwatch.
Hero missions can take place in all of the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding new spaces onto some of these maps.
Okay. Give me new game modes.
It's a huge challenge for the art team. We take maps that a lot of people love and recognize, and we have
Kings
to
Row.
add a lot more art and level design to it.
In this one hero mission playtest, we came up to an area in Kings Row that usually has a gate on it. Suddenly that gate opened and I saw a new area of Kings Row that I had never seen before.
You may be playing a payload game type, and the payload may decide to take this new route instead of going the usual route.
That was really, really cool.
I kinda like that. Okay.
Eye-opening special moment.
Okay. They just put a couple of those and have like a random thing.
Our lead tech artist.
Oh
on
god,
the
it's
environment
2CP
side,
map.
Very early on our own free time, made a prototype of a sandstorm on the Temple of Anubis map.
And at the time, we didn't know what we wanted to do with that, but it looked awesome.
We looked at it and went, Oh my
Have for
God.
dinner time,
We
like a
absolutely
protein bar,
So we put
think
some
like
new
a
technology in
Nutrirain
place that
bar,
allows us to do this dynamically. You start the mission off,
like a
clear
cookie or
day.
something.
Midway
Nothing
through
too
the mission,
much.
suddenly this sandstorm
Just
or
not hungry.
heavy weather would show up.
It made the world just feel so much more alive.
There's a sunset.
No
daytime,
environment off for low
nighttime,
settings.
But depending on where you
Yeah.
are in the world,
Yeah, right.
these look different. California or Hollywood would have what we call a California sun. In New Bonny, there's
Oh.
a great African sun that happens there.
Okay.
You sort of get a sense of space and mood. This is what really brings the levels to life.
For me, the dynamic world's exciting. Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic experience for the player.
Before you
Yeah, but
start
what?
on the
Yeah.
mission,
So if I
look
do
at a
all
map.
low,
It's
do I just not
nighttime in
see any of that
Or
stuff?
there's a
So we're good.
sandstorm in Metropolis.
Will I
Players
not
will
see
make
the
some
sandstorm?
top choices based on knowing this information. Characters like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be a little more valuable because they have abilities that allow them to see through the sand more clearly.
Oh.
Are we going to talk about any of the types of objectives in hero missions?
Yeah, let's talk about the objectives. Players are being asked to do different things from one hero mission to the next so that they all feel really fresh to the player.
For example, we have Gather and Return, where you're trying to go and grab these different canisters to kind of safeguard them so they don't go off and affect the population in a negative way. It creates this really cool tension in the world where, on the one hand, you're trying to split up and go grab all these canisters.
Widow's accuracy down 20% in Sandstorm's true.
You're having these sort of special enemy units spawn that are really difficult, and if you kind of get caught by yourself, it turns into a pretty bad situation really quickly. And it feels extremely cooperative and like a very different way to interact with the Overwatch universe.
We're experimenting with all sorts of ideas, and just internally we have names like Wall of Death, Scavenger Hunt, and Kill Quest, and all these new mechanics and enemies for people to experience. Players will be able to jump in night after night, play different hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their hero.
OW2 is going to be my new MMO.
Honestly, they're kind of making it like an MMO, so that's kind of, yeah. I want a new MMO.
At BlizzCon
Yo, Sandra, thanks so much for the 42 months.
We started to talk
I really
about
appreciate it, man.
progression, and we showed
Hey, some
a
sub over in the
very
chat.
early version of our talent system, which I think was really cool. We had that one talent.
But
where,
can you
like,
reset all your
the rolling
talents?
Snowball, which was a big hit. We've really blown that system out.
I'm real excited about talents. You can play the same hero in so many different ways. Now with the
Can you
skill
just
tree,
reset it?
You can have fun every night
Reset
doing
the
different things.
tree
kind
and
of
then we're
experimenting.
good, or
Yeah,
what?
the talent system is like really deep and rich, and every single hero has different trees. You might open up 76's tree, and as you're leveling and picking new talents, you're starting to feel your hero change. We've had some pretty hilarious versions of the healing one where his biotic field travels with him. It also repulses enemies. We called it the snowplow build, where 76 is like running through spaces, pushing enemies away from them.
Design is
Lucio
super
move,
fun,
man.
'cause it's like we get to break all the rules that we've sort of established for ourselves, and we get to really take the gloves off and do crazy things. Like Junkrat can dual wield grenade launchers, and we've had Mercy be able to area effect res their whole team at once at super long range. through
Oh
walls.
no,
It's
not
been a ton
the
of fun
6-man
talking
res
about scientists
again.
making all this stuff.
You're all used to using these kind of kinetic weapons,
Not
Soldier
like
76's
this.
rifle, or fire attack like what Reinhardt's Flame Strike does. As soon as you start to mutate these talents, all of a sudden,
The 5-man res is
freeze
back.
damage or
Yo,
electrical
sweet thing.
damage.
Thanks so
Gives
much for
the
the
enemy
1
a bunch
year.
of crazy opportunities. You know,
I
the
appreciate
animations
that.
are gonna
1 year's a
change,
long ass
freeze
time.
and shatter. And
Welcome back, welcome back.
Shock something with a lightning attack, they can shake in place and stun, maybe chain to other enemies. All sorts of stuff to make you feel like you're controlling the battlefield
Interesting.
in novel ways.
As a huge RPG nerd myself, the first time I opened up the talent tree systems, it was like, oh my gosh, this is speaking my love language. Like, I just want to plan, and I want to see, like, where do I want to invest, and how am I going to play this character?
Yes, it's so great. And you start at the bottom of the tree. Like,
Yes,
oh my,
exactly.
Like Tracer gets to do what?
Yeah.
And then you start working. And
But
kind
can
of
I
planning
reset
out
my
you're gonna get
points?
down there. It's like,
Or am I stuck?
it's so fun.
When we look back at BlizzCon 2019 and we talk about some of the criticisms that we had,
It's only
one of
PvE.
them
Yeah,
as a
PvP remains the same, yeah.
development team that we felt was that the combat was just not engaging
Reset
enough.
points for
So the fact
$5.99. I
that
wouldn't be
our
surprised.
combat wasn't highly engaging to us as players meant that we had a problem with the enemy units and that they just weren't feeling interesting enough.
Just because we show something to the public, it doesn't mean that that is what it's going to be. If we make discoveries where things aren't working how we want, they're not reading how we want, they're not fun enough, we're totally down to reinvestigate, reiterate, and just really find ways to level kind of all aspects of things until they feel good.
I would say a major focus of all of 2020 was to make the null sector enemy units more engaging. And some of this was adding
That's what needed to be done, bro. All the events were like resident sleeper
Interesting combat
because
for us is varied combat for us.
you can't just run in a straight
Sometimes
line.
we're going to ask you to protect something in Overwatch 2. Sometimes we're just going to ask you to get someplace. Sometimes we might ask you to escort something across a map while it's being attacked. And so it's a different type of spawning.
How are you?
It's a different type of units that are in there, and it's a simpler objective.
There's a lot of units Aaron is talking about. Lots of different units, lots of different types. They serve different purposes. You do different things to them. It's really going to help a lot of us find the fun and make sure that Overwatch 2 is a blast.
One of those sets of enemies is what we internally call objective units. And they're typically units that
null
don't even
sector
attack.
bots
Like,
is scary. Wait,
the
really?
simplest version would be something like the Breacher.
It's two legs with this huge
Is that
bomb
this
on
one?
its back. It was built to do one thing: slowly and methodically march towards its objective, and then it transforms, and the bomb opens up like a flower. It starts spinning and charging up, and you hear this awesome sound. And
Oh shit!
A little bit of time before it's going to explode, and you have to take it out.
What happens if it explodes?
We have units like the slicers, which you guys have seen before. They're little, we call them the chickens. Like little chicken sometimes. They run really fast. You know, we have a guy we're experimenting with right now who flies.
It's the flood, bro. The flood. The floodgates are opened.
Fields that you have to escape from, but because they're super deadly, so you really get to use your mobility options to kind of escape that.
There's things like the polar. You could be moving through these darker alleys, and as soon as you hear that polar spawn, it suddenly becomes like really spooky and kind of scary.
This very tall, elegant looking character that's blindfolded, 3 orbs that circle around her as her eyes, and we
That's kinda cool.
basically spun those orbs around her head, this big tail, launched them at the player, and then it activates this tractor beam, and it's bringing you in, and then you get this awesome like anticipation of the hair.
No!
So you know what's
I'm
about
gonna
to
pull
happen.
it, kill him.
Match climb 300 MMR today.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Experimenting with is this idea
I like
of
that.
elite units. We didn't
Yo,
want
Leroy,
elite
J
units
Farmer,
to
thanks so
feel
much for
like
that
they're
3
just,
months.
Oh, this guy's
Welcome
got
back,
double
man.
health
And
double
the
damage.
one eye.
We want to make sure that
about
the units feel like they have
13
different
months.
behaviors and have different
Backgrounds
attacks.
patch.
So, for example,
Wait, there's a new backgrounds
an Omnic
patch?
Grunt, normally he just kind of fires.
I'll have
his
to look at the
gun,
patch
he
notes for that.
fires
I didn't even know there
specifically.
was one.
If you fight elite grunts, his weapon fires in a burst fire pattern. It's very deadly if you're close. And if you manage to take them out, they don't just die right away. They instead can crawl on the
shit.
ground towards you, and you try to back away.
Oh, that's kinda
'cause,
cool.
You know, if they get to you, they can explode.
Interesting.
Artillery at BLIZZCon. We're all just staring at this.
BLIZZCon.
We're like, what are we gonna do to level this up?
Artillery.
One of the things we really felt wasn't coming through was the damage.
The water back
stats.
today?
We intend for players.
I'm
to
glad.
shoot
So is it gonna be?
these guns
Is
off.
everything like back for
Currently, it's
good,
not reading
or
as
is it
something that
still a
can
chance
happen
that everything can turn off again?
We change
Or you
the
pretty much
design,
is
we
it
change
past
the
the
animation, and we go back and forth and just continually iterate.
the bad point?
We decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna just delete half of these damage states, so now it's super readable.
From an animation standpoint, we decided on the spinning barrel version. Just did this really nice kickback. The tip of the barrel opens up when it's about to fire and shifts into place, and boom!
That's kind of cool.
Really
Looks
amazing
cool.
to be fighting an artillery unit, and you can see the guns on the side, and as you're shooting the guns, they're actually visibly taking damage, and then you can blow them off, and it reacts and kind of stumbles to the side, and really makes you feel like you're there, and it's super fun.
In a lot of the stuff we've showed so far, you're fighting null sector. These are evil killing machines intent on marching you down. The way you're going to stop them is by shooting them, and we want to make sure that feels responsive and visceral. Really making sure that when they take a hit, it feels like their whole body has been punched, almost like hit by a truck. That's what really sells this fantasy that you're playing these superheroes. One of the cool pieces of technology that we created was what we call chain hit reactions. Oftentimes you'll find null sector bunched up, marching maybe a half a
Okay, I
dozen
kind of like that
units
actually.
abreast. You expect if you shoot one, they're gonna knock into their buddies. So we make that happen.
Okay, I actually like
Turns
that
out it's pretty
change.
fun too.
Wait, what? they killed each other?
One of the things that we showed last year at BLIZZCON was the new looks for our heroes. The theory kind of going in was like, you want to preserve the essence of your hero, but also kind of show that that heroes evolved and kind of changed and moved forward. So we have a lot more new looks. So I'm excited to see how players and fans react to all of the ones that we've done so far.
Maybe we'll share some of those new looks today.
Can't drink tap water due to
we're gonna reveal
top boiling due to contamination. No, that sucks. Hopefully everything will be fixed soon.
And we're really excited to show off some of our first villains with Reaper and Widowmaker. But first I wanted to talk a little bit about technical wear, kind of like technical clothing. What that really is using very techie fabrics, as well as
Overwatch 2 introducing fall damage and friendly fire. Wait, there's fall damage and friendly fire now?
In a way that it's very aesthetically pleasing.
I don't think they should add either of those in Overwatch 2.
We took a couple of different approaches. He's got this classic cowboy look that it's really hard to mess with.
Overwatch has like a...
If you try to make him too sophisticated or too techie, it might not feel right for the character. But as a concept artist,
friendly fire would just be terrible.
Things around and try different shapes.
I think it had friendly fire at one point.
So we did identify as Red Serape as the main thing for McCree.
Or at least some abilities were friendly fire, and I think it was just completely troll.
Cowboy hat. We didn't really want to mess with that too much because that's a very iconic part of him. So that's another piece that we kept. We tried
Reaper's Paradise, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this game is not good with. There's already enough Reapers as it is.
Than others, some that were a little bit more classic cowboy. We gave him a little bit of a longer beard, and it really gives
the longer beard cowboy,
a more aged look. What's different about Pharah than some of our other heroes is Pharah's completely covered in armor. We didn't want to change her silhouette too much. It was more about experimenting on different colors, so it felt really appropriate
about
for
cheating
her to be the one.
Of course, man. Always cheaters.
Of white and blue. One of the things that
I guess I'll have to upgrade my PC to play this. Yeah, probably. I'll definitely have to be upgrading my PC.
We tried a little bit more of a...
When Overwatch 2 come out, they didn't give a release date.
You'll see through it a little bit now, allows us to see some more of her emotions. Reaper was actually the ones I was very excited to work on because I could see a lot of potential in how we can integrate his cloak,
for the problem water parts and pants. We're back to safe levels. Oh, okay.
We can make all those shapes.
This is not too long, but still, that's a hassle for a whole week.
We tried a couple takes with the first pass, like completely silver arms, more layers to his jacket. Reaper's mask is obviously pretty sacred to us, but the thing you'll notice immediately is that it's now completely silver. Instead of the bone white, he's got this like almost like deadly edgy silver that just gives him that classic Reaper look. With Widowmaker, we started with the idea stage, exploring a breadth of ideas. We tried things like a more insectoid approach, treasure hunter. One of them made her feel like a classic Bond villain, so we kind of steered it back towards one of the more cyberpunk looking ones, almost like a futuristic femme fatale, which is basically what Widowmaker is, but she even feels more upgraded. So I'm super glad that we went down this route. We played with different hairstyles.
That looks good.
Too. Widowmaker has the really long ponytail that's really key part of her look. And we really liked the hairstyle on.
They liked the
really interesting look that also
give Widowmaker the booty man.
Original silhouette with that long ponytail.
Gotcha.
We've been working a lot with our domino engine and making our cloth look better. Now that we have this cloth tech, we're going to be able to make some really cool, unique silhouettes that will help them stand out from other.
Okay, I kind of like that.
We put a lot of time and effort into our face rig, and what I mean by that is we're gonna be able to get really close to these characters, and it's gonna feel really cool. It is absolutely worth the time and the effort to invest in the technology, and that way we can make these characters do more things that we haven't really been able to do before.
It's been super exciting working on the new looks for Overwatch 2.
I like that too.
So inspiring.
Make it a little bit more like immersive and stuff.
Things that we've never tried before, and
I'm a fan of that.
To show off more in the future.
Overwatch 2 is probably the largest opportunity we've had
to crossplay for PvE.
Franchise to
just
really
for PvE, I wouldn't be opposed to doing crossplay.
To our players,
I think that's okay if they do crossplay for that. Definitely not for PvP
some of
though.
The heroes got back together, but we're also seeing that there seems to be a second huge Omnic uprising. We're gonna learn who's behind that uprising, why that's happening,
who's behind it,
globally spread is it.
The story and franchise development group, they were really the torchbearers of what the big story is that we were going to tell for this game.
We have a lot of interaction with them. They're
Damn, so one of the new
working
heroes is
on
already
in-game
just the main hero in there?
Intros and outros for every one of our story missions.
It's been really great to see this collaboration grow and develop. The story is just a little more integrated into our missions than it ever really has been before. All the available heroes get dialogue for a given mission. We have NPCs. We have
Open it up, Alpha Man.
Choices.
We have all sorts of events that are happening that are driving players to interact with each other or parts of the environment or other characters.
The world of Overwatch is this bright, shiny future. So how do you take that bright, shiny future and create conflict in it? How dark can the world of Overwatch go?
The different challenges that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch 2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with before or dealt with on this scale. So what we had to do was literally strip it down to this bare bones of where are these characters in their lives. Overwatch has been disbanded, and now there's a situation where the world's in trouble again, and
where are
the
they?
world needs the heroes again, but they're not allowed to be doing what they were supposed to be doing.
We started to book these off-site locations so we could brainstorm over and over different versions of what the Overwatch 2 story campaign could be.
And we basically had these whiteboards that we were carting around everywhere.
The room was filled with whiteboards, and we would just write every day story beats with the characters and who was doing what and where, and oh my gosh, we forgot this character.
We had these giant sticky notes, and each one of them would be a mission with a bunch of notes on it. You know, somebody say, well, what if we moved Rio to the end, and they'd physically grab it off the wall and stick it on the end.
And we did this for a while, you know, until we all felt that it was pretty close to what we wanted.
Then we could send it to our writers' rooms. The writers' rooms then had a much clearer direction of where we wanted this process to go.
Ultimately, we come up with something that we think is right for the game, and then we pitch it back to the game team, and they point out everything that we missed.
And that allows us to actually back up and go and make it right and make it better.
Because the scale of this story is so huge, it takes place over the whole world, basically. It just requires a constant iteration, constant refinement to make the story as best as we can make it.
From writing, we go to storyboards. The storyboards get crafted with the edit. From there, it'll go to a previs department where they'll start to flesh it out in 3D. Once we've kind of figured out our camera work and our cinematography, that'll then go to the animation department. And then we end up going right into the game engine.
One of our challenges was to figure out how to integrate this story and this narrative with the gameplay.
So if the intro cinematic ends with this huge battle, this huge war, when you get into the game, it has to mesh and feel the exact same way and blend together.
Mention Overwatch in the opening ceremony. Actually, I haven't. This is the only BlizzCon what I've watched because I don't have internet.
Music to be equally as consistent.
Wait, they didn't even say anything about Overwatch?
Straight through to the mission.
For any other games, that's funny.
Our lead composer is.
I mean, it makes sense because they didn't. They're not releasing anything for Overwatch until this game comes out. Kind of just said F Overwatch.
Locations.
As the cinematic director, whatever we're crafting should never override the gameplay. We want to make sure that the player's experience going from the cinematic to the gameplay is seamless and it feels like a completely immersive experience.
The engineers, we have to find a way to actually make that come to fruition. The choreo tool is a tool that allows people to coordinate different events to happen at the same time. Like in Rio, if you played our demo, one of the buildings explodes. And so that kind of event needs to happen as you're running by, and you need to have it timed, because if it blows up too early, then you don't see it. It allows story moments in missions that interact with the environment, that interact with our characters.
The new tech, the new abilities that we have now are allowing us to push our storytelling farther than we could have previously.
What's also really powerful about choreo is that, you know, if somebody has an idea, they can mock things up really quickly.
We got to show the Widowmaker making this awesome introduction. Casey was able to quickly put a really rough prototype in choreo. And Philip would come in and on the fly, he's making quick changes. They play test.
Widowmaker can run on the walls.
Weeks. It was done in like a matter of days.
What the? Where'd you go?
Each story mission has its own custom map built for it. And these maps are absolutely gigantic.
India is one of our biggest maps, and it's a fun map because it has a few story beats that we've taken from recent
At least, since they're making all these maps, right? They can just change them all into
each city, so that
competitive maps
lived in, and I think that informs
in some way or another. So at least they have like a general map, and they just make it smaller or whatever.
Gothenburg was our chance to show Torbjorn's workshop. We created a space that kind of fits his height. So there's, step ladders and scalable tables. We designed the space as if we were Torb, Molten steel is pouring out of walls. It's pretty epic when you walk into it.
I pop up a PvP and a PvE
by null
creation.
sector. When the players arrive here, there's a dynamic snowstorm. So as you make your way through the level, the snow is slowly building up. Suddenly by the end, the characters are caught in this gigantic snowstorm and they must fight their way through.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
Do we have dialogue? Can we mess up a
cast?
Do we gotta choose who we're friends with, man?
All at the same time, and it's fantastic.
Can I choose to say "nah, fuck you"? No, damn it.
Never actually seen. We've always
What's up, Friction? Are you queuing now? No, after.
Now it's actually happening.
After this is over, I'm gonna queue.
To have a whole new branching dialogue system. If you happen to have Genji and Mercy in the second mission of the game, you might get different dialogue that's about their relationship.
Our voice actors bring the characters to life in ways that everybody has fallen in love with, from inside Blizzard to the fans.
What did you just throw at me?
Just to hear this collection of actors all together, all interacting, has been a real treat. Hammer down!
Wait, that's Reinhardt? That's the IRL Reinhardt right there?
How many people are involved when it comes to something like telling the story of Overwatch? It doesn't just come from a singular person. It comes from a group. And it's a really talented, fun group that all works together.
We've been building what we hope is one of the best stories ever. There's some key story moments that I'm really excited about, and I really can't wait to see how people react to it.
We've been talking about the game, about this universe. I know you all love it so much.
Right now, we can sit down and have a night of Overwatch 2 and have it be a really fun experience. And I think we need some more time till we can say it's perfectly polished in the way that we want it.
We've made such incredible strides since we first announced this and showed it to the community at BLIZZCON in 2019.
The thing that I'm most excited about is that moment when we hand the game over to the players.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches
people. Yeah, don't let it be
That's
like
why we
Cyberpunk
do it.
and have a bunch of
We create
bugs.
the game because we want it to become part of your life, and
To be fair, I want it now. Yeah, that's what Cyberpunk tried in, but let me tell you, it didn't work out for them.
For Overwatch 2, we're upping the bar.
It's kind of 5
It's a
games
big
in
guy.
one. It's a huge undertaking.
The new tech and the new aesthetics for the new looks bring you closer to the characters that you love, and we're just getting started.
The fidelity of the gameplay experience is much richer.
We are making cinematics that push the boundary of what we can do to tell stories.
We want this dynamic world. We want things to feel alive.
I'm really looking forward to being able to expand the world of Overwatch.
Overwatch has amazingly few bugs. Yeah, Overwatch actually didn't have that many bugs when it came out. It's just that some of the abilities were like broken with going through walls, but
to make a game great,
there wasn't any like that many great game-breaking ones.
We have just an incredibly professional team of designers and artists and engineers.
We just love bringing this world to you guys. So many cool characters. It's just a blast.
Everyone's just fucking T-posing, bro.
Our goal is for Overwatch 2 to be the worthy successor to the first game, to be the next evolution, and to be a true sequel.
We have big plans, so thank you for sticking with us.
We're gonna cross the finish line, and I know it's gonna be awesome.
I hope people just end up loving playing it over and over.
That's what we want to try and capture. I'm jumping in, I'm playing. Let's go be heroes.
Let's go be heroes. Nice. I mean, the PvE looks fun, but I still like PvP a lot more. But I mean, it still looks like it's like will be fun for a little bit. The new like abilities and stuff, as long as they can make, because okay, the events how they have now, for like every time they do like an event, when you're shooting the box, like that just seems super repetitive and boring. Like you play it once and then it's like, okay, I'm done. So if they can make that in Overwatch 2 with like harder bots or more, however they said they're making it more like responsive and like other random things that happen, then I think it'll be okay. So hopefully, I don't know, they should just like test out some of those things with like the newer events that they're doing now, and then I think it'll be okay. But yeah, imagine the bots as the throwers from your match. Yeah, pretty much. Depending on how they change tank. How they change tank DPS and healers mechanics. Well, didn't they say there were those changes for PvP, or was those for in the PvE version where they said they're doing the tank was doing was it healers have heal regen over time? I think that's pretty good. DPS move faster, and it was that was for PvP. Okay, I actually like that then. What was the tank one? Oh, knockback resistance. Wait, does that mean that Ryan gets double knockback resistance? Because he already has steadfast, so it's gonna change it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like that then. Because I think all healers should have some sort of like health regen, because then they're not forced to just be hiding the whole time trying to wait for heals. So I'm okay with that. I like the passives. That's a good change. Assault charge from damage taken. Okay. Oh yeah, that was the other one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think the passes are good overall. Overall good things. But double fire strike and cancel charge, yeah, I actually like that as well as a Reinhardt player. You can do a lot of damage with it, like PvE stuff. I mean, I'm a PvP player, so PvE looks fun. And like I said in the beginning, if they can make it not Resident Sleeper like how it is now, where I do one mission and then it's just a chore to do the rest of the achievements, then I'll play it. So from what they showed in the videos, it looked like it's kind of fun, but as long as it's like kind of on the hard scale and it changes all the time, then I'm down. But that's kind of tough on them, so we'll see. PvE is actually hard as fuck, so you gotta grind max difficulty. Yeah, like I don't know, because I know Overwatch has to cater to like casuals and stuff. That's kind of like what all the changes and stuff. That's not really for like the highest end of the player scale, so they can't make it like too hard, but at least making it like somewhat like challenging would, you know, be fun for everybody, I think. Imagine if you have a team on your back as you pin. That'd be kind of interesting, kind of cool. Hop on, man, hop on. But I think overall it looked fun. It looked like they were doing like a good job with everything, so I'll still play it no matter what when it comes out. And that to 2CP, yes. Hey, get 2CP out of here, man. Let's get some F's in the chat for 2CP. Actually, nah, dude, L's, because 2CP can hold that L. Nobody liked that shit. Get that out of here. Hold that out, 2CP. Get out of my game. Never again this be seen. I think that's the highlight, honestly, of Overwatch 2. There's no 2CP. Good riddance. Yeah, 2CP. Get out of here.